Coming up on this episode of Coach's Corner, we talk about the last set of two games, both wins over Powell River and Prince George, recap that special opening night, the SOEC, talk about some special teams being special finally, commitment news, and a preview, the Snakes are coming. All that and more because Coach's Corner starts now.
From the Best Damn Sports Bar on Martin Street in Penticton, with our fourth season, this is Coach's Corner. It's the show that brings you insight to the on and off ice action of the 2012 RBC Cup National Champions, the Penticton Vees. Host Fraser Rogers is joined by Vees head coach and GM Fred Harbinson, with the Best Damn studio audience for the Best Damn Vees talk. Now, here's Coach Harbinson and Fraser Rogers.
Thanks, Wayne, and welcome back inside the Best Damn Sports Bar for another episode of Coach's Corner. Joined by Coach Fred Harbinson, as always, and let's get right to it. A busy set of 7 for the Vees, 2 more wins, 4 wins in a row now for the soccer team. Let's go back to the most recent game, 4-3 win over Prince George on Sunday afternoon. A good start by your hockey team, but there's something to be desired, I guess, about the finish after the game. Coach's comments, obviously, as well on that.
Yeah, I thought our start was, we got off on the right foot just like we wanted. We knew we had a team that had played going into the third game in 3 days, and our second. And I think the shots were 14-3 after the first, and hit a post, and we probably had a few others that were blocked, but we kind of took our foot off the pedal. I thought that in the neutral zone we didn't make the proper decisions with the puck in the neutral zone. We weren't getting pucks in deep, and all of a sudden the game kind of started sliding away from us a little bit. Even though the score didn't indicate it, we had the lead and whatnot, but we just kind of got away from the game that we started with, and fortunately for us, we were able to squeak out a win.
Is it human nature, maybe, being up 4-1 in the third period? Mike Redbury scores a shorthanded penalty shot. Looked like they'd be kind of like the capper on the game. It's a young team as well. The average age is just 18. Is that maybe kind of just human nature kind of let off the gas?
I don't think that we let the foot off the gas at that point. I think we were already poor before that. I think we were just fortunate to have. We got a lucky bounce that gave us that on the dump in where it went off the skate in the second period and in. And what I really liked about in the third period was our penalty kill. Our penalty kill was very strong, and the 5-on-3 was outstanding. And then we were able to get the penalty shot and score. So, I mean, there was a lot of good things that went on as far as, the penalty kill. But I thought our focus just wasn't as sharp. And I'm sure we'll talk about our home opener the night before. But that game there wasn't a second where we weren't as sharp as attack. And this game here, we just had some moments where we kind of lost our way. And like you say, you chalk it up to immaturity and early in the season. And you can't take those points away from us. You put them in the bank and you move forward.
Building block and a learning lesson for the team. 1-0 on a strange goal by Prince George on a bizarre throw to the net. Then you scored the 4th straight. Hang on for the 4-3 win. That was your 4th in a row. Let's rewind one day earlier. A great night. We'll talk about the pregame festivities in a moment. Let's first talk about the game against Powell River. A 4-0 game. We talked about it pregame on Sunday. You had a list of duties, and it seems like you put a big red check mark beside every task because this team looked pretty balanced, pretty solid through 60 minutes against the Kings.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about that after the game with our guys, and we had worked on specifics throughout the week, and you're right. One of the biggest keys was we talked about getting to the front of the net, not off to the side, and we had a couple deflection goals, a point shot that there was a screen on, and our discipline was strong, was good throughout, and it just seemed like everything that we talked about, we found a way to execute, and more times than not, if you do that, you're going to get positive results.
If I can go back almost 2 weeks after that Prince George loss, going to the game the following week in Salmon Army, I want to see a better presence going to the net, driving the net. You've seen that now in 4 straight games. That's something you've really seen by these players making that conscious effort to get to the net and create a disturbance. We've seen a lot of goals from that right now.
Yeah, well, there's no reason we can't get there. I mean, the two attributes you need to get to the front of the net, one would be size, and the second would be speed, and we own both of those, especially throughout our lineup. I mean, from top to bottom, we're as fast as anybody in this league, and we've the days of saying that we're a small team are long past, and so the only thing that would keep us from not getting there would be our own desire, and so we've been trying as a staff pointing out throughout practice when we're not driving to the net, and clearly if we build those habits from throughout the beginning of the season, it should be second nature by the end of the season.
Now, staying with Saturday, maybe the non-game-wise part of it was the pregame leading up to the game. A special video was made by the SOEC staff, including Jeff Hook. Big thumbs up for him. You saw the pregame ceremony. Just comment maybe on the pregame atmosphere. There's a good tailgate outside as well. It's kind of neat to see that Junior A. It seemed like a pretty big event leading up to the home opener.
Yeah, no, they, I told them all, and I'll say it again, that the SOEC, the global staff, like everybody involved, did an amazing job, and it was nothing different than what you would see at a National Hockey League game, a pro event, and there wasn't really any glitches, and Jeff Hook, I always say he's an ace. He could definitely be working in the National Hockey League as we speak with the skill set that he has, and I know our organization really appreciates all those people over there because not only during the recruiting process with players. Throughout the week, different things that they come up with, and then putting something like that together to sort of put a cap on the previous season was pretty special.
And the performance as well in front of a good crowd, 4-0 win, and it was good to see this team. Last comment, not being maybe over-amped. They seemed pretty even-keeled considering the circumstances with the banner raising. Seemed pretty solid going out of the gate.
Yeah, it's a good point. Our team has been in a lot of tight situations and a lot of situations where you would maybe expect the team to go over the line and get so jacked up that they make mistakes or be nervous. And I think our guys have shown a pretty even keel throughout the first 8 games of the season. And by doing that, I think we're learning a lot and not panic in those tight moments.
Talk about stand-up performers over the weekend, specifically Saturday. A handful of players had multiple points. We saw you shake up the lineups a little bit. It worked immediately. We saw Travis Blonley bust out for 2 goals. Was that encouraging to see these new lines you came up with in the week of practice leading up to the game have that instant chemistry?
Yeah, but I said it before. I think this team, you try to say this with a lot of teams, but it's not always the case. But I really believe we have a lot of interchangeable parts that can one game play in the middle, the next game play on the wall, and up and down throughout the lineup. And if you can, if the players can adjust to that and not let it mentally affect them, we'll be a tough team to defend against. I think a lot of times when we're getting prepared for certain teams, we're isolating on 1 or 2 guys. And right now, if you look down at our roster, I'm sure guys are going to have to defend 8, 9, 10 guys.
Individually speaking, Louis Nanny had a big multiple-point game. Technically, had the first goal after it was originally given to Wade Murphy. They credited it back to him midway through the game. How good was that to see? It was a great moment, obviously, with his dad and grandfather, Lou Nanny Sr. in crowd, but just for him coming back after being away from the team, taking care of some family issues, getting that opening goal must have been a very energizing and galvanizing moment for the team.
Yeah, I was really happy for him. I mean, he had a tough go there with his uncle. His dad's brother passed away from cancer, and at a young age. And Louis went home to be with him. He was real close with him, and so our whole team, really felt for him. And when he came back, getting that first goal and scoring with, it's always great. Hey, we all of us who have been players always can rethink. Most of us can think back, and there's nothing better than scoring when your grandpa's in the stands. So it's we were happy for him, and I thought he had a heck of a weekend.
And more point production. James DeHaa scored a goal on Sunday as well from the blue line. It's good to see this in general. Offense continuing to coming from not just one area, not 1 or 2 lines. Blue line's now chipping in. We saw some other guys get their first couple of goals of the year. Is that encouraging to see it continuing to be spread out like it was the weekend before?
Yeah, I think it makes us a dangerous hockey team, and it's the biggest key is and it was the reason we won the national championship last year. We didn't have advisors or parents or players crying about where they were in the lineup or if they were on the power play or which power play they were on or geez, Johnny sat out one game. It was just let's work as a team, and hopefully good things will happen, and trust in the coaching staff. And as long as our guys this year buy into the way we're doing things, and not to mentally get drained when things don't go their way, or listen too much to outside noise, then I think we have a heck of a chance to do a lot of the great things that we did last year.
And Brian Sims may be wearing Mike Riley's cape from last year, 2 points in about 25 seconds. You talked about his play the weekend prior defensively with Rob Mann, developing as a shutdown pair, but we see him more confident with the puck. Saturday we saw it obviously with a goal and assist, and you continue to see it Sunday. Is that kind of a surprise, or do you think that was in him? He's being a veteran. Is that just him being a veteran hockey player?
Yeah, him being a veteran, and in both situations, if you watch, when you underhandle the puck, it's one of the things we try to work with our defensemen. And getting it on their stick, getting it off in a hurry, good things are going to happen. Either you're going to get chances to score goals, or it's going to create havoc, maybe a rebound, deflection, or whatever. When you start having to stick handle 2-3 times, that's when the opposition is going to get in the shooting lane, and you're going to see block shots 9 out of 10 times.
The defense core in general, you have Troy Stetcher returning, but a lot of new faces. Even though they play Junior A, it's a different style, Junior A, with James DeHaas and Rob Mann coming from Ontario. Let me just delve into that before we go to break. Are you impressed? Obviously, you're 7-1. You have to be impressed with the defensive side of things, but is it surprising in a sense how well defensive this team has been? You had the 2 shutouts in 3 games going into Sunday, not giving up many opportunities. Is that surprising how quickly this unit of 7 guys, some guys are in, some guys are out, how quickly they've gelled?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think when our staff was putting this team together, and by the time we got into August, we kind of felt that our strength of our team was going to be our back end. There was a lot made last year about how many goals we scored and everything else, but we knew this year that if we could keep the pucks out of our own end, the little time that we spend there, the better off we'd be. And we thought we had a group of defensemen that could help us do that. And obviously the emergence of Chad Kadner, he's almost like a third defenseman back there on a lot of nights with the way he plays the puck. And then our team defense, when you talk about how fast our forwards are, our forwards are extremely fast and getting back and tracking on the puck throughout the neutral zone, and just eliminating the time that our opposition has to look for the trailer, look for the open guy as they enter our zone.
A tidy 2 goals against per game right now for the Vees defense, helping them to a 7-1 record. We'll take a break. That's segment number 1. When we come back, we'll talk about some commitment news and special teams leading to the 4-game win streak. This is Coach's Corner from the West Ham Sports Bar. Here's a look at the Vees' upcoming home schedule. Friday, the Vees host the Vernon Vipers for the first time at the SOEC, starting at 7 o'clock. Then on Saturday, note the start time, 5. It's the Trail Smoke Eaters in town to face the Vees, brought to you by Marketplace IGA, and you can win a ham or a turkey, courtesy their plate toss, just in time for Thanksgiving. Welcome back inside the Best Damn Sports Bar. We're in the middle of our segment here in Coach's Corner. As we roll on, let's talk about special teams. The Vees win streak has been buoyed by some good special teams play. 4 straight wins, coincidentally enough. 4 straight games with a power play goal. Have you seen a noticeable improvement with the power play? Coaches always say they want to average at least 1 power play goal a game. We've seen that. Are you happy with the improvements over the last week?
Yeah, you know what? We were moving the puck fine early in the year. We had to sort out personnel where guys needed to be, and then just some practice time on it. And so the last. It was about 4 games ago. We talked to our group about just wanting to get 1 a game, and we've done that. We had one other one that was scored right after a player got out of the box in salmon arm, and you know what? More importantly, we've been moving it better in practice now too. We're scoring a lot of goals in practice on the power play, and as you mentioned, I think it's been a big part of our last 4 wins. And if we have a good, sound defensive game, and you add 1. Power play goal game a night, we should be in a positive light more nights than not.
And at this level, it can be a difference. At Junior A, special teams are always a dominant factor. About 22% the power play has been in the last 4 games, about 4 goals on 18 chances. If you see anything noticeable different, you talk about personnel. There's something else besides that. Is there maybe a little bit of confidence now with or chemistry going on with these two power play units?
Competing a little harder, and we're shooting the puck instead of making that extra pass. I mean, it's anybody tell you. I mean, the biggest thing I've always thought with power play is if you can get shots coming from the top and shots that get through, then that creates everything else from down below. It forces teams to play a little higher than they want to. It gets things scrambling around off rebound chances and just battles around the net. So we always talk about having a quarterback that's back there. We've been very fortunate the last 3 years with Mikey Riley, Joey Ledger for two previous years after before that, and we've made some personnel changes and put guys in the proper spots and guys that aren't afraid to get the puck on their stick and send it to the net in a hurry without stick handling 4 times to do it. So it's right now I think that's probably the biggest key is just that we're competing a little harder and getting in front of the net to do it, and we're shooting from the top.
Talked about personnel last week, and we saw at one point 2 units with 4 forwards out there. Is that something going forward you look at longer, or did we see maybe more traditional 2 defensemen out there?
Last year we had a power play that had 4 forwards the whole year, and when we won the national championship with a minute to go, we had 4 forwards on the ice, and the winning goals. So, you know what? We'll just keep tweaking with things. For the guys that aren't on the power play, it's not the end of the world because it could change next week. We have a lot of players, like I said earlier, that can interchange, and if they're playing hard and deserve a chance, they're going to get that opportunity.
PK has been very good too in the last 4 games. There's 1 goal against in those 4 games. What have you noticed with the penalty kill being so stingy?
Well, it starts with our discipline. We're not taking a ton of penalties. If you're only giving your opposition 2, maybe 3 power plays a night, you're not wearing those players out, and you're not letting them get their practice in as the game goes on. So it's for them to kind of exploit a weakness or an area that they can attack. So I think that's the number one thing. The second is that we're starting to learn these teams and watching more video on them and knowing what their tendencies are, and then the third is just execution. And we've had some guys that have made some great plays on those kills.
We've seen Brad McClure, Mike Rebry, a solid pair. Joey Bennett, Bryce Gervais were thorns in the sides and penalty kill last year. Don't want to compare, but I do that a lot in the media. We've seen those guys in a similar sense saying they're aggressive, they're also quick, and they're not shy because we've seen them challenge and force a lot of turnovers at blue lines, especially Mike Rebry with that speed.
Yeah, it all goes back to speed and hockey sense when you're killing, and so right now our guys are trying to learn the opposition's power plays as much as they can and what their go-to moves are and what they're looking for, and our speed. As long as our focus is intact and remembering where we're supposed to be at certain times, our speed can create a lot of havoc for our opposition's power play. And you saw last game where Rebry kind of creates the turnover right at the end of the kill there and gets the penalty shot, and the rest is history. Discipline,
obviously, you talked about it before, but that's going to be encouraging. In the last 4 games, just averaging 3 penalties against. That's kind of the sweet spot, it seems like.
Yeah, we've told our guys that if you look at the teams that are at the top of the standings, if you look at the teams that are at the bottom, you could probably flip-flop their penalty minutes, and I think at this day and age, as much as you want to be a tough physical team, you have to be a smart team, and the teams that are taking undisciplined penalties and penalties in bad situations are a lot of times finding themselves with a big L at the end of the night.
So 24 goals have come at even strength. That's got to be encouraging as well, how much offense 5-on-5 early on with so many new pieces up front are producing.
Yeah, we're scoring plenty of goals. I have no issue. We're scoring. If we score 3 goals, it should be enough. And we've been scoring a few more than that lately. And obviously on the weekend getting 4 and 4. And so it. Like I said, if with our speed and putting pucks in the right areas and being patient, it doesn't mean you have to score on the first or second shift. It's just kind of playing the same way over and over to wear a team down, and hopefully at the end of the day, then you'll execute when the chance arises.
As did the Vees so many times last year, wear teams down and started scoring goals later in the games. Speaking of scoring goals, the player's done it a lot and in key situations. Some recruitment and commitment news. Mike Rebry commits to Western Michigan University, the shiny picture behind us. A program that's on the rise. We see Andy Murray come in there. Great finish last year to won the CCHA title. But talking about Mike Redbury, we talked to him last week on the show. His start, he's supposed to be a scorer, he's supposed to be quick, but still the numbers he's put up, 11 points, has got to be a little bit of surprise, and now getting that commitment in the bag.
Well, when I talked to a lot of schools in the summer, just said, hey, I'll be interested to see how his game translates to our league, and clearly it's translated very well. And when you have a guy with size and speed like that, and then a work ethic, there's a lot of hockey left to be played here for him. But at the same time, I think, I said in the press release, I think quietly he's showing to be one of the best two-way players in the BC Hockey League. And like I said, the reason I said there's a lot of hockey left to be played for him to live up to it, but we've had some pretty darn good two-way guys over my time here, and right now, like, he's positioned himself up there, right up in that upper echelon of those type of players.
Talk about the Wade Murphy-isms in him with the game-winning goals, game-tying goals, scoring in key situations, but something that's maybe overlooked is his defensive side. You touched on it. He's playing penalty kill, big-time shutdown roles as well against other teams' top lines. That's something that might get overlooked to the casual observer.
Oh, I'm sure. And the other one would be his face-off percentage.
Yes.
He's like, I think 62% or something, or 63% on the face-off dot, and so that's why I say when we take everything into it, he's a physical guy. He skates very powerful skater, a guy that can play low in the zone in the defensive areas, and isn't afraid to muck it up in front of the net on the power play. So it's we're very fortunate to have a player like Mike, and we're real happy that a month in our program and coming from Brantford, playing in Brantford last year, and coming from a small town out in Ontario, and to be here for a month now, get a chance to go to Western Michigan, after one more year here, and play for Andy Murray's obviously a special time for him.
Yeah, pretty good for a tobacco farmer, Mike Redbury. When we come back, we'll preview this weekend. The Vernon Vipers are in town, including the surprising Trail Smoke Eaters. We'll come back and wrap it up after this. This is Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar. Here's a look at the Vees' upcoming home schedule. Friday, the Vees host the Vernon Vipers for the first time at the SOEC, starting at 7 o'clock. Then on Saturday, note the start time, 5. It's the Trail Smoke Eaters in town to face the Vees, brought to you by Marketplace IGA, and you can win a ham or a turkey, courtesy of their plate toss, just in time for Thanksgiving. Welcome back one final time. Our last segment of Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar. We'll talk about the weekend, and it's a big one. Long-time rival, not unfamiliar, is the Vernon Vipers and the Penticton Vees in the last few years. First game in Penticton. We had one at the showcase, but always exciting when the Vernon Vipers come to town.
Yeah, and it's an important game for them, obviously, with where their record sits right now, and I think we're 8 points ahead of them. They have a game in hand on us, but then they go to West Kelowna the following, or they have West Kelowna coming into them the following night. So, big game for both of us. We want to continue on our winning ways, and they obviously want to get back on track. So, whenever these two teams play, I think everybody gets excited about it, and it should be another great contest.
They still have a healthy amount of returnees from last year's squad. The Vees won all but one in the season series. Obviously, that'll be on their minds, but it just seems like this team is a roller reversal. The Vernon Vipers were a dominant team. Now the Vees are, and Vernon has had some struggles lately. Is it kind of the approach, let the sleeping dog lie, if you will?
Yeah, I don't know. They obviously had a tough year last year for whatever reason, but it's way too early. They're probably one of the most talented teams in the league. There's no question about it, and they have probably one of the most dangerous players in the league in Adam Tambellini. So it's be real foolish on our part to take them lightly, and I don't think that's going to happen. But I think it'd be foolish for anybody to count them out. I think this early in the year, you mentioned it. I was kind of surprised when I saw comments that they're a really young team. I don't know if there's too many teams that have as many veterans as they've got, but they have a heck of a lot of guys back. Their whole back end is veteran, and then they have added some other veteran type players from other places. So I'm sure they'll be ready to go full throttle tomorrow night, and hopefully we get a good crowd there, and it should be an exciting evening.
We've seen a lot of energy in the building. The Vipers and the Vees lock horns at the SOEC. You expect the same tomorrow. Can you learn, though, from that opening night how to channel that energy appropriately? We saw it opening night against Powell River. Tomorrow night might be the same scenario with the Vernon Vipers. Not get ahead of yourself, if you will.
Yeah, we have to play with energy. We're an energy team. We have to play with, use the gifts that we have, and it's our feet. We have to use our feet, and then I think what we learned from the weekend more than anything is we got to stay in the moment and not lose focus. And when something doesn't happen properly, 1 or 2 shifts in a row, maybe the third shift somebody tried something a little different, and see if we can have some success, and then that can sort of start a trend that way. And I think that's the one thing we learned from last weekend is when you have the same result and it's not a good result, look to maybe do something a little different, and hopefully it'll start the whole team in the right direction.
How do these two teams match up? It looked very even in that showcase game. Puck possession team is Vernon. They're very good down the middle in the face-offs, and their team had a good transition as well. One of the more entertaining games we've seen early on in the year. How do you describe the Vipers' approach?
Yeah, you know what? You're bang on. I mean, there's not a heck of a lot different, really. I mean, they've got a group up front that can skate, and their decor, they're big guys. They're not like our decor is a lot of big, tall guys. Their guys are, maybe not as tall, but they're big, thick guys on the back end, and they all kind of play the same way. And they've got pretty darn good goaltending. So it's it's two teams that are real proud teams and teams that want to be the best. And unfortunately, we're both 2 hours away from each other. So every given year, only one of us at best can get through here. So it's doesn't matter where they're in the standings or where we're in the standings at this time of year. We all know that at the end of the day, we got to find a way to kick the legs out from under them before they figure out how to do that to us.
Vernon, 2 wins and 6 points on the year, but championships are not won in October, as they say. You flip the calendar, kind of a quick preview. I know you don't like to do this. It's tough to do, but you look at Trail, a team right now statistically sitting second in the Interior Division with 10 games played. 5 wins, 10 points, 4-0 at home. It's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team so far. They've been really good one night, giant killers, the next night so-so. Is it tough to kind of get a read on them?
Yeah, it's gone both ways for them. I mean, they've had some pretty lopsided losses, and then to the same team that they lose to, they go and beat at home. So it's, I've gotten to know Billy Burks there, and he's doing a good job in getting those guys to play hard and bounce back in tough situations, and let's hopefully they, for this weekend they continue with their poor road performance, and we'll wait for down the road to go to their building.
Talk about the Trail of Smoke Gators. Lyndon Stanwood, all those numbers probably won't reflect that he's been an early story with some of the games he's turned in goal. Cody DePork's size for goalie, which is always a disadvantage, but it seems like he's turned in some stellar performances. How do you look at what's the book on Stanwood? A guy who's small but covers a lot of net.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, you obviously got to get traffic, what we talked about before, and going high on your, especially on your second shot, because obviously there's a lot of net up top. But he's quick, and we've seen some very good small goalies in the past. We saw the kid with the Sioux last year almost knocked us out of the RBC. And my time actually back in the day when I was coaching the USHL. There was a couple goaltenders that played in Omaha that were maybe smaller than Stanwood that were outstanding that ended up going to Michigan State University. So it's with the goaltending, I mean, a lot of guys want the bigger guys now, but a guy like Stanwood who competes and he's small and very quick. It doesn't make it an easy night. We need to get traffic. We need to move the puck side to side as quickly as we can, and then get pucks, especially the second shots, up top.
Lastly on Trail, lunch pail crew, a lot of hard workers. Penticton product, Tyler Burkholt scored a big overtime goal just on Tuesday against West Kelowna for the win. Garrett McMullen, a captain's having a good year. A couple of USHL returnees on the back end. Is this a team that's just like a blue-collar style, like Bill Burks himself? It's a really rough and tough kind of team that doesn't quit?
Yeah, I would say so. I think they have kind of taken that on, as their motto, I guess, and that's where it's going to be very critical for us to, regardless of what happens Friday, if we get nicked up on Friday, or if we have a big win on Friday. We have to find a way to kind of get her back together and understand that nobody comes into our building and outworks us.
Well, we'll see. It should be an interesting weekend as always. Thanks for being here for Coach's Corner. 7-1 are the Vees, trying to extend their win streak to 5 and 6 games this weekend. This has been another issue of Coach's Corner, another show. It's been great as always. Thanks for being a live audience, and if you're watching online, thanks for tuning in as well. We'll see you next time. This is from the Best Damn Sports Bar. This has been Coach's Corner.
Coach's Corner has been a presentation of the Penticton Vees. Production services provided by Groovy Productions and Synergy Imaging.